Hi everyone, how are you? I hope everyone is okay. Welcome to the first episode of my new series, Academia Life. So, as before I stated, I divided into my YouTube channel into four different sections. And I know that I'm a little bit slow because nowadays I am dealing with very different issues like writing articles and writing book chapter and also my teaching syllabus and the final exams. That's why I'm uploading a little bit slowly, so I'm really sorry about it, but I will do it. Don't worry about it. This series, which I mentioned, Academia Life, is probably the most personal part of my channel because here I want to talk openly about academic life, not only the finished products, but also everything that happens behind the scenes. We often see published articles, conference presentations, book chapters, and completed dissertations. But what we do not usually see is the messy part. The uncertainty, the self doubt, the endless notes, the moments when you share at a blank page and have absolutely no idea where to begin. So, for the first episode of this series, I thought it would be interesting to talk about something very basic. How do I start writing an academic article? Because honestly, I think the hardest part is not writing, at least for me. Whenever I begin a new project, I rarely start with writing immediately. Instead, I start with curiosity. Usually, I'm reading an article, a special issue, a call for papers, or even another scholar's work, and suddenly something catches my attention. Sometimes it is a concept, and sometimes it's a question. Sometimes it's a gap that I notice in the literature. And once that moment happens, ideas start from very quickly in my mind. I began asking myself questions. What has not been discussed enough? Um, how can I approach this topic differently? That is usually the moment when a project is born. After that, I move directly to what I personally consider the most important stage, creating an outline. I think this is the most important part because I am a big believer in outlines. Before writing in a simple paragraph, I try to build the structure of the article. I usually divide it into sections: introduction, a theoretical background, methodology, literature review, analysis, discussion, and conclusion. Of course, the sections change depending on the project, but having a roadmap helps me tremendously. With an outline, the project suddenly becomes manageable, right? Instead of writing entire article, I am simply completing one section at a time. And psychologically, that makes a huge difference. It also helps me organize my time. Academic work can sometimes feel endless because there is always more reading to do, more sources to find, more revisions to make. But when I divide the project into smaller stages, I can focus on one task at a time. One day I work on literature review, another day I focus on methodology, another day I revise my theoretical framework. Little by little, the article grows. Recently, I received an acceptance for book chapter, and I'm currently working on that project. I'm very excited about it because it focuses on higher education in Africa. The chapter is scheduled for submission at the end of this month. So these days I spend a lot of time of reading and researching. One of the things I enjoy most about the project is exploring university resources from different African countries. I have been examining course catalogs, departmental structures, program descriptions, and educational priorities across various institutions. What I find fascinating is that research often takes you to place you never expected. A project starts with a question, but along the way, it introduces you to entirely new perspectives, histories, and intellectual traditions. That is one of the reasons I still enjoy academic research. Every project teaches me something beyond the topic itself. It changes the way I see the world. Of course, there are difficult moments too. There are days when writing feels impossible. There are days when I question my ideas. And there are the days when I think everyone else is writing faster and better than I am. And I think most academics experience these feelings at some points, right? But over time, I have learned something important. Progress matters more than perfection. A bad first draft can always be revised. A blank page cannot. So, whenever I feel stuck, I try to remind myself that my only responsibility is to begin, not to write a perfect article, not to solve every problem immediately, just to take the first step. And surprisingly, that first step is usually enough to create momentum. So, if you are currently working on a thesis, an article, a dissertation, or any kind of writing project, my advice is simple. Start with curiosity, build an outline, work section by section, and allow yourself to write imperfectly. Because every published article once began as a collection of scattered notes and unfinished ideas. Thank you so much for listening and watching me today. This was the first episode of Academic Life, Academia Life, and the future episodes I would love to talk about teaching, conferences, academic rejection, publishing, research journeys, and many of the realities of academic life that we don't always discuss openly. So, see you in the next episode. Bye.